We're not yet recording the podcast. We're just going to see what happens here. If anyone is watching this YouTube, let us know if you can hear us or not. Pat, can you talk real quick?
Yeah.
Okay, that's enough.
You?
That's enough. If you can hear
That's all you need?
if you can hear Pat, that's great. This may be totally screwing it up, but all right, yeah. This is the first time we're trying to go live here as we record the podcast, and I'm excited about it. We got a great show tonight. Pat, are you ready?
Ready. You didn't tell me this is like going to be some sort of live thing, but yeah, let's go.
I've been saying it the whole time that this is live. All right.
I thought it was like
shit. Oh yeah, wait a second. Let me do this. All right, ready? Wait a minute. You know what? On GarageBand, will you stop and delete and start over? I messed up.
Just tell me when.
Well, what is going on over here? Okay. Lot of stuff going on. All right, here we go. 1, 2, 3, record. Mic check. Mic check.
Check. Okay, we're good.
All right, I think we're still live. Okay. Okay. Yep. All right, here we go. What's going on, golf addicts? DB here of the Tour Junkies. Pat Perry with me. We are fired up. It's the PGA Championship week. It is Glory's second shot. It's the second major of the year now, moved to May. The podcast juice is flowing. We've got a fantastic episode tonight, including a major announcement that we'll get to here in just a second for an incredible contest. And then we've got a great chunk and run planned tonight. Pat, I am partaking of the traditional Tito's LaCroix, a little splash of peach schnapps and a little twist of lime. What you got working over there, buddy?
I got a little Tito's, and it's kind of a ginger ale type drink actually tonight. I don't know where it came. It's like Tito's, and they're called these ice drinks.
Yeah, the ice. I like those.
Yeah, so I don't know, just was feeling. I got an orange one too because I always have a backup drink whenever I'm.
You got to have the backup.
Yeah, so I got an orange one, and then I got the ginger ale one. It's gonna be a good show. Looking forward to it.
Yeah, man. Listen, right now we're recording live, also broadcasting live on YouTube. We think we're not really sure. So if you're listening. Maybe I don't know what's going on. Oh, Kyle from YouTube is watching. I wonder if they can hear both of us. Let me ask Kyle real quick. Can you hear us both? Also, if you are watching live, you get to see Pat adjust himself constantly. The shirt adjustment, the hair adjustment. You know, for as much of a diva you think you act like I am, you are constantly messing with the swoop, and it's quite amusing to watch. But
well, this is really kind of messing with me. You know how OCD I am, and the fact that we're changing all this up and adding this video stuff. Yeah. It's got me a little bit thrown off.
Guys, Pat is so worked up. He's liable to need to take a crap break here before too long because he's going to be nervous. Because I did mix it up. We are broadcasting live from YouTube as we record this podcast right now. So let's get to it, Pat. You know, before we get into the PGA Championship, we got to recap the Byron Nelson, Sung Kang, everybody's favorite douchebag, Sung Kang, the cheating Korean, wins the Byron Nelson over one of my picks last week, Scott Piercy. What'd you think of the Byron Nelson, Sung Kang? I tweeted about it today. Got a lot of attention. Definitely got a lot of attention. And I definitely noticed how very, very few PGA Tour players took to Twitter to congratulate Kanger on his first victory on the PGA Tour, despite, he's played 159 events. That's not, he's not some rookie out there. He's had plenty of time to make friends, and it doesn't sound like he made a whole lot of them. I think the only tweet I saw was from Gary Player, who literally tweets, like, whoever wins your member guest for that week. Yeah.
I think the tour put out a tweet at least congratulating him, but yeah, there was nothing, no players. That was a funny tweet. I like that one. Also like the one you put out about what would Lucas Glover's wife do if he had hit her, like was it Dan McCarthy?
No.
Duncan.
Tyler Duncan.
Tyler Duncan.
Tim Duncan is a 7-foot-tall NBA retired Hall of Famer.
I feel like he should have been in this field, though.
It's like Greg Harden.
You had, the way this field is with Tony Romo being in there and whatever else. I mean, Tim Duncan could have played in it, but I mean, it's a. I don't really like the course all that much. It's not a good field.
See, anything with 53-yard fairways, I fully endorse. I would love to play Trinity Forest.
I'm sure you would love that course. You'd be all about it.
I'd still probably only hit about 6 fairways, if we're honest.
Yeah, but it just, I don't know. I wasn't a big fan. But yeah, and a guy like Scott Piercy can play flawless golf. Flawless. Zero
Which is
bogeys.
Amazing, yeah.
That's
I can't even comprehend that. Like, no, I can't comprehend that. No, I can't even fathom.
You couldn't even, if you had a dream at night that you had done that, you would wake up the next morning just knowing it was. I mean, it wouldn't be one of those like, God, was it a dream or wasn't it a dream? Like you'd know immediately it was definitely a dream.
Yeah, like I haven't had a bogey-free round at putt-putt, and I'm pretty good at putt-putt. You know, so I don't know how that's possible. But anyway, that's enough on the Byron Nelson. I'm done with that, except for the fact that the chalk bomb continues to be nails. You know, and look, Mark Leishman was the chalk bomb last week, the big fade, and he busted because he withdrew, and people were happy with us, and then people were mad at us, which is dumb. But the Chalk Bomb is a free piece of content. If you're not subscribing to the Chalk Bomb, you need to go to tourjunkies.com right now. The bottom right hand of any page on tourjunkies.com, you can put in your email address and get that free piece of content. Let me tell you something right now. The Chalk Bomb is the baddest piece of content that can be delivered to your inbox on a Wednesday night before lineup lock, before you put in those last-minute PGA Tour bets. The Chalk Bomb is where you need to go. We're going to tell you the big name that you need to fade and reasons why. We evaluate a few key head-to-head matchups and what that tells us in terms of the betting odds and the numbers and who we like from a tournament head-to-head matchup standpoint. And then the 10 facts are absolutely killer, okay? The 10 facts are killer. Our boy Ben Little puts a lot of work into those. And most of the time, nailing the top 10 with the 10 facts. And then, of course, my favorite part of the Chalk Bomb is Pat's parting words. If you scroll all the way to the bottom, you get Pat's parting words for the week. They're always entertaining. So the Chalk Bomb is a big deal. It is, whether you're betting or playing DFS or any form of golf betting or fantasy, the Chalk Bomb is where it's at, and you need to get in on it. So, again, go to tourjunkies.com, scroll to the bottom of any page on our website, bottom right-hand corner, put in your email, subscribe to the Chalk Bomb, but it continues to be on a heck of a run. Pat, do you agree?
I do. It's good stuff. I mean, it's a great read every week, and it's not going to take you forever to read it. You know, it's just good content.
So now we got to get to something I'm excited about. I'm very excited about this announcement. We have a new contest. We've never done this before. We're going to try it out. You need to pay attention right now. This will cost you. It could cost you. You could win this thing and it costs you absolutely nothing. You could win this thing and it costs you a little bit. But nonetheless, it's a pretty awesome idea, I think. And I'm pretty pumped about it. Starts now. Starts the moment that you hear this. And it's going to run through at least the final major of the year, the Open Championship. However, if we feel like we need to extend that, we may extend it through the Tour Championship. But here's what we're going to do. You know, the biggest compliment that you can give to the Tour Junkies is tell your friends about it or just tell other people about it. Like, we love it when you guys buy stuff in the shop. By the way, the new Bohm t-shirt is in the shop, and I'm rocking it right now, and I'm really excited about it. So we love it when you guys buy new swag. We love it when you leave us iTunes reviews, when you engage on social media, blah, blah, blah. Of course, we love it when you listen to the podcast, but you know, we're trying to grow this thing. We're trying to quit our jobs. We're trying to get Tito's attention. You know, they won't give us any attention. So we need a little more, and we want. I love like the grassroots guerrilla marketing efforts, right? And so here's the plan. We want you guys to get really creative in telling as many people as possible about the Tour Junkies podcast and get creative with it. The winner of this contest, we're going to pick one winner. And let me tell you, this is pretty much completely subjective. So we could be bribed. We could definitely be coerced, paid off even. But the winner of this contest is going to be flown, if necessary, flown to Augusta, Georgia, on October 17th. You are going to get put up in a nice spot, courtesy of the tour. All this courtesy of the Tour Junkies. And then on October 18th, you're going to wake up and play as my one-day member guest partner at Champions Retreat Golf Club in lovely Augusta, Georgia. Champions Retreat hosted the first 2 rounds of the Augusta National Women's Amateur. You saw that on TV. It's a lovely spot, the only course in the world with 3 9-holes by each of the big 3, Gary, Arnie, and Jack. Lovely spot. It's a one-day member guest. It's a really fun format. I'm really looking forward to it. Myself and our chalk bomb expert, Mr. True Mav Ben Little, are actually defending net champions. Okay, defending net champions for this, so it's a big deal. Okay, I think Pat is also going to make the trip and play with us, and play with some other poor sap from Champions Retreat as a member, or he won't get a member and he'll just follow us around and drink a lot of beers and take content. Right, Pat?
I was kind of wondering what am I going to be doing during this whole deal?
Well, I think those are the 2 scenarios. I mean, obviously you're not a member, so you'd have to come as a guest. So I'd have to find a Champions member to take you, which is going to be tough. And or if that doesn't work, you just have to come and follow me and the winner of this contest around on a golf cart and drink and get a lot of good content, which I think could also be fun for you.
Yeah, I mean, possibly. I don't know. I mean. Yeah, the drinking part, yeah, for sure.
It's gonna be
watching you play golf. It's not gonna be fun.
It's gonna be a fantastic event, and again, we're gonna take care of everything. Your flight, your hotel, your golf. It's gonna be fantastic. You're gonna play on a fantastic golf course. Now, I want to elaborate a little bit on what you got to do, because here's the thing: we're not just gonna give this away just because you like retweet some stuff, or I don't know. You got to get creative. I'm thinking like. I'm just going to throw out a few ideas, and these are up for the taking, all right? But, I'm thinking to think on some ways that you could possibly be extremely loud and get in front of a lot of people and tell them why the Tour Junkies podcast is for them. And that could be, you pay for, I don't know, an airplane banner behind an airplane on the beach. You could you could somehow find yourself on a Jumbotron at a sporting event. Blasting it. You could pay for advertising somehow. You could invest in this. I mean, you can spend your own money on this. It may help you. It may return back to you. It may not. Don't get pissed if you don't. If it doesn't, you could do some sort of social media campaign or account or something like that. Pat, do you have any other ideas? What are some other ideas that people could do?
Yeah, I like the social media campaign. I don't know. I mean, you could decide to be like Forrest Gump and run across the country and run back.
Yeah.
Like you could pull a Forrest Gump with Tour Junkies all over you and stuff.
Yes. And, get people to write newspaper articles about you.
Yeah.
People still read the newspaper. I thought of this one. You know that meme that goes around about the guy sitting at he's at a college campus and he's at a table and the sign just says, blah, 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 convince me I'm wrong, or convince me I'm right, or what. Have you seen that meme that goes around? You plug something in.
Yeah, I think I've seen. Yeah.
You could do that if you're a college student. This is money for you. If you're a college student, you could totally set up a rally, or you could set up some kind of, I don't know what you could do, but you could set something up. You could set up a table. The Tour Junkies are the best golf podcast on iTunes. Convince me I'm wrong. Have people come by the table. What's Tour Junkies? You tell them. The deal is to spread the gospel of the Tour Junkies. You're going to get bonus points if it's to a audience of people in our target, golf fans, if you somehow find a way to get those going. If you're at a ball game or something, you could throw something on Jumbotron. That's nice. But if you could...
Let me tell you what you probably can't do.
Oh, and good.
You might not. So, all of us don't like mashed potatoes guy. I don't want to hear a bunch of I don't want to hear that. I don't want to hear that. That's gonna put you down in the book for me.
Agree. Yeah. I mean, wearing
now doing something at a tour event is fine.
Definitely an idea,
but not that.
Yeah, wearing certain things to catch attention at a tour event. Totally get that. Don't be the yell Tour Junkies guy after a golf shot. Don't do that. Don't make us look terrible.
Or the Bob Menery Ripper Magoos. It drives me crazy.
Don't do that either. Yeah, we're an upstanding operation here. We don't want to do that. But you got to get creative with it. And here's the other thing. Big time thing here you got to do. it has to be documented somehow. So, like, if you're doing something big, like we got to have a video of it, photo evidence. Like, it's got to be. We got to have some proof. Okay, it just can't be. Oh yeah, I did this. Like, you got to have some proof.
No pic didn't happen.
Yeah, video is ideal. If we can see video of it, it's great. But basically, from now you got a month or month and a half or two to really think this up. But I encourage you to get strategic, to get creative, and share the TJ Gospel. If you have any questions, concerns, if you have an idea that you think, I don't know if the guys are going to like this, you want to run it by us, we are wide open for that. You can slide up in our DMs. You can email us, info@tourjunkies.com. We'd be more than happy to help you out. But I'm excited about this. I'm excited to get a chance to bring a highly supportive, engaged TJ listener and reward them with a trip to Champions Retreat and the chance to defend my net championship one-day member guest title, which is not a major. It's kind of, it's more like it's kind of like a John Deere Classic level tournament at the club.
It'll be a really fun day though.
Like, it'll be a fun day. We'll have a great time. Dinner the night before. It's going to be
And Champions is just such a good spot to be at. So
yeah. By the way, I did get to play. Shout out Jason Raymond. This is what we tell this is awesome, man. One of the things, and I'm not going to spend a lot of time on this. One of the things I love about Tour Junkies is how many the guys we get to meet, the people we get to meet. It's so cool. Got an email from Jason a couple weeks ago. He's like, "Hey man, my wife's in town. She's going to be working in Augusta. We're from Kansas City. I wanted to play some golf. I know you're in the area. Would love to hook up. If we could play, that'd be awesome." And you know what? We treated him to a day at Champions Retreat. So actually, he got the treatment without even having to do the contest, which good for him. Sucks for everybody else. But I met up with Jason. We played on Saturday morning. Pretty good golfer. It was good to see. And he had a little swag, Pat. I don't know if you noticed the video I put up. He had some nice, some nice socks going on.
I saw that.
He looked kind of put together. Yeah, he was a good dude, really good dude, good golfer. Shout out Jason, and for sure, if you guys are ever in the area, hit us up.
Yeah, and by the way, in the area, David thinks that Tour Junkies is only in Augusta. If you happen to be in Savannah, also, you can hit me up, and I would love to try and make it work out where we can play together. So
yeah, the advice for that would be to be persistent, because you're counting on Pat to look at emails and Twitter messages, which is. There's other things you could count on that would be more reliable. But yeah, sure, try that. Good luck to anybody who makes it to Savannah to play golf with Pat. All right, I think that's it for that announcement. I'm really excited about that. Now, along with if you're traveling, if we're going to put you on an airplane and you're traveling to Augusta, you know what you can't forget, Pat?
Mm-mm.
You can't forget your nutsack.
I take my nutsack everywhere with me.
Nutsacks are the perfect bags for your everyday carry. They are made in the USA, American waxed canvas, American leather, and American labor. All right, strongly water resistant, lifetime guarantee. Now these are bags for the everyday man. And now let me tell you how Pat and I are going to be using how especially Pat is going to use his nutsack. See, Pat is quite irresponsible with nice things. It's hard for him to have nice things. So because it was weird is he's so freaking OCD, but yet he just loses crap. He lost our head cover, which really pisses me off because it's like a one-of-a-kind head cover. Anyway, Pat just recently had his laptop broken by his monster dog. That I've been to Pat's house twice, and every time I've been to Pat's house, every 4 minutes his dog jumps up on the counter, like the counter at the kitchen. But Pat left his laptop on the counter, and the dog knocked it over, and now it's done. So guess what? Tour Junkies gets to buy Pat me a new laptop, and I'm going to get Pat my old one. But I have told Pat that when you get the new laptop to you, it is time to put that in your nutsack and zip it up when you're not using it, and keep it nice and safe. Okay, because no more busted up laptops, and the nutsack is a perfect opportunity to do that. The product comes with a 30-day money-back guarantee. It is a rugged, very durable bag that you can beat the hell out of, even you, Pat. And I think that's going to be a very nice addition to your wardrobe as well. It's going to make you look good. I feel like they're good looking.
I feel like the computer is going to be really snug in my nutsack,
which is good. Which is really good. Good things tend to come from your nutsacks. Computers that aren't broken and children. So right now, Nutsack is offering listeners $5 off their first purchase. They're just basically, hey, we'll buy you a beer if you buy the Nutsack, right? And that's you receive your $5 discount. You visit nutsack.com. That's NUTSAC. NUTSAC.com. And don't add the K. Don't do that. Nobody wants to see that. NUTSAC. And use promo code Tour Junkies at checkout. They have duffel bags, satchels, all kind of fun sacks for yourself. And they're very classy. It doesn't sound real classy the way we're presenting it, but they are very, very classy bags. And so I would check that out.
You will
and please,
definitely
if you do get one, use promo code Tour Junkies. It makes us look good. Actually, Father's Day is coming up. We just finished Mother's Day, so Father's Day is coming up. That'd be a great time to maybe repay your dad with a really nice nutsack. So let's check that out. Pat, I think it's time. I think the people are waiting. We've been long enough into this thing. Let's get to the course breakdown for the PGA Championship. It's an important one. It is a very important one. Let's hear what you got to say about it, buddy.
Yeah, so let's get to the course breakdown. So we are at Bethpage Black this week in Farmingdale, New York, which is just outside of New York City. Let me just say this course is just an absolute beast, but I love it. I think it's a great major championship course. We've seen it only really 4 times before. So in 2 majors, so in the 2009 U.S. Open, the 2002 U.S. Open, and then also the Barclays event, which is near the end of the year in the part of the FedEx Cup playoffs. They played it in 2012 and then 2016. So we've seen it 4 times, but it's definitely not one that's on the regular rotation. As far as the course itself, it's playing as a par 70 this week, playing at 7,459 yards. So like I said, it's an absolute beast, very long. You got Poa annua greens. So we're back to Poa annua like we see on the West Coast. And, when you're up north, they tend to do better in your cooler climates, which is going to be important this week. We're going to get a cooler week. I don't think when they pick the schedule or when they move the PGA Championship to where it is now, I don't know if New York was the best place for that, but it is what it is. But we're going to get a lot of rain. We got a lot of rain today. It's going to soften up the course. I think make it play longer, maybe soften up the greens a little bit. But the thing with Poa annua greens is they just you never know what you're going to get. I mean, they can roll a little bit bumpy, especially in the afternoon. So I do like to look at guys who traditionally maybe putt well in Poa annua greens. Now, putting stats are very random. You never know when somebody's going to get hot. But I do think it's something to look at because Poa annua is one of those specific surfaces that you do see guys show up year in and year out and playing well on those. Very tight fairways. One of the biggest things we've heard really going into this championship is how is it going to play? Is it going to play more like a PGA Championship, which is a little bit more scoring, or is it going to play more like a U.S. Open, which makes it, typically makes their setups a little bit more difficult? I think I'm leaning more towards the U.S. Open style. I think it's definitely going to be very tight off the tee. I think that the rough is going to be pretty heavy from what I've seen around the greens and also off the fairways. I think you're going to have a couple cuts. I think you're going to have a first cut that maybe is not too penal. So if you miss the fairway by a little bit, I think you're going to be fine. But if you're just extremely wayward off the tee, I think it's going to be big trouble. Looking at the course itself, you got 2 par 5s out here. Number 4 plays at 517 yards, and then the next one's at 608 yards. The 517 par 5, that doesn't sound like a whole lot, but that is a beastly hole. Like, it is to a raised, elevated green that you can barely see from the fairway. So it's a tough shot if you were to try to go at that thing in 2. So I wouldn't necessarily look at that as a scoring hole. And really, you look at these par 3s as well. I mean, they're all just incredibly difficult. They're playing 230 yards, 210 yards. One of them's playing 161, and then you got 207 yards. So all difficult par 3s. Looking at past champs here. So you had Patrick Reed. He won the 2016 Barclays, and then Nick Watney won the 2012 Barclays. But those 2 tournaments, they played a little bit easier than you would see in a major. In a major, actually in the 2009 U.S. Open, it was first most difficult course on tour. In the 2002, it was also first. But at the Barclays, it was 12th and 15th. So played a little easier those years. So there you go. Now that we're on the live thing, I can see you're starting to get bored over there, David. So I'll shoot it over to you. But I will give you my top stats for this week. Always looking at form. Definitely looking at strokes gained off the tee. The Bombers are going to have an advantage here. When you look at how soft this course is going to play and how long it is, there's a lot of carries where you've just absolutely got to bomb it off the tee to get it into the fairway. So I think that's going to be important. But ball striking as well. You look at a guy like Lucas Glover winning this thing in 2009, which is a week where they got a lot of rain. So, I mean, this isn't you can't just look at the Bombers. I do think you got to get guys that are hitting fairways and that are hitting greens. So I definitely am going to look at ball striking. And then scrambling, these are smaller greens. So I think if you miss them, especially if you miss them into the bunkers, you want to look at that. They're tough bunkers around these greens, so you want guys that can scramble, get it up and down. So I think that's important as well. And then maybe a little bit at par 4 scoring. Just it's something I tend to lean towards when we get to par 70. So there you go. That's the course breakdown for the PGA Championship. David, what are your thoughts?
Well, I mean, yeah, I think it's obviously going to be a test. I don't think it's going to be like the U.S. Open. I do think it leans more to the U.S. Open playability and difficulty than it would a normal, PGA Championship. Oh, wait a minute, hold on. We got late breaking Caddie insight right here. We just got a text from a caddy on the golf course, and this is the quote: "The rough is, all caps, brutal right now. The fairways are perfect, and the greens are perfect. With all this rain, I think there will be some good scores out there, but you just need to hit a lot of fairways." So that's some caddy insight. Now listen.
Hey, read that next one that just came.
Hold on. We got some more. There will need to be spotters on every hole, because I could see balls being lost just 5 yards off the fairways. So this is
not much of a first cut, which I just said.
Yeah, it's a little bit reminiscent. A little bit reminiscent of the Aaron Hills narrative, except Aaron Hills was super wide. I mean, if you remember at Aaron Hills U.S. Open a couple years ago, your ball was lost in that stuff, but these aren't wide. So, I definitely think priority number one is to get in the fairway, but if you can find the guy that's also got a little bit of length, obviously that helps. I mean, we always know that every week Bombers have an advantage if they're also hitting it straight, but I think the key is going to be guys getting it in play off the fairway. Now, I will say this. While we've got Caddy Insight rolling in, we've got about 6 caddies on the grounds right now and a couple players that we stay in touch with that we'll likely hear from before lineup lock or before you got to lock your bets in on Thursday. So chances are we're going to hear some other stuff. So you're gonna want to what is going on? What's he saying? All right, hold on. We're getting more breaking news from the same caddy.
This is highly unusual for the podcast.
Also, breaking news. In my observations from walking the course today, there's a significant difference between the tour guys and the T-shirt folders as far as playing golf goes. So we didn't.
We taking any of the.
Yeah, we didn't say this, but obviously in the PGA Championship every year you've got PGA professionals who are led into this thing. You can go ahead and scratch them off the list. But what I was going to say is, like, by Wednesday night, whether it's in the chalk bomb or it could be a last-minute email that may go out from us, be sure and subscribe. We'll pass on any information that we can that we get last minute from some of these guys on the ground. So it does seem like, obviously, the course has gotten a ton of water. It's been raining a ton, so the course is soft. It looks like it's going to dry up just in time for the tournament come Thursday, but I think that's a big factor. With the fairways being much softer, I still like a guy that can get it out there a little bit. I mean, I don't want him dinking and dunking his ball, even if he's in the fairway. You just got such long approaches into these small greens. The shorter clubs they can have in hand, the better. I think I heard Bryson DeChambeau today say he hit a lot of 4 irons into greens today. It was a long course, so it's interesting. It's really interesting. I think it's going to test these guys all the way through. I think the POA greens is something I'm going to look at. He talked about being POA. I'm looking at long-term guys who putt well on POA. when I look at that, I look at like 100 rounds or more. I want to see the long-term guys who are comfortable on POA green surfaces. So that's one thing I looked at. Strokes gained off the tees, another thing. Strokes gained approach and opportunities gained are obviously your iron stats that really need to be dialed in here. Those are really the main stats that I'm weighing. I do think sand guys is important. I'm not really looking at the stat, more so like just guys who I know play well out of bunkers and guys who don't. There's 75 bunkers here. The quote from a writer is, "Bunkers are large, deep, and difficult." So, I mean, it's basically like the Amy Schumer of bunkers. So she's large, deep, and she's difficult. So I think you got to be aware of guys are going to be in these traps, and there's a lot of them greenside. So you miss these greens hitting from 200 away. You got to be able to get up and down and save par, or not turn a bogey into a double or a triple. So I think that's important. Let's see what else. But I'm not really weighing in scrambling. I know some guys are talking about that. I'm not really weighing that in. To me, it's more tee to green, being comfortable on POA, and I don't really care that much about the history, Pat. I don't know if you really. I mean, I know the Barclays thing and the U.S. Opens is interesting, but to me, it's just going to be a little different setup, different time of year. These guys are in different places. I'm not really caring a whole lot about the history. It's a lot about recent form. So that's
I'm with you. I don't think it's something. Sorry, I had to Google Amy Schumer. But yeah, I mean, I think it's not something like I'm like definitely focused on like I normally would be. I mean, I do like course history. I know that's always debatable, but yeah, I mean, you're looking at 2016 as the last time they played here. Definitely set up a lot different, which you can see. I mean, when I mentioned that, played 12th most difficult in 2016 and then 15th in 2012 versus first. Both times it was close to the U.S. Open. So it was easier then. It played a little bit different. Now, I may look at it if I'm like looking at two guys that, especially maybe cheaper plays that I might want to look at, and say, well, this guy played better or has some experience here. I may take a look at that, but yeah, it's not going to be, something that I'm zeroed in on this week.
So I read a quote from the Chief Championship Officer. I'm not really sure how you get that job, but Kerry Haig is the Chief Championship Officer here at the PGA Championship, and he said fairway widths are the same as they were in 2009 and not super generous, and they expect the rough to be somewhere around 3.5 to 4 inches long. It sounds like it could be. Plus, with all the rain, that stuff's going to be thick. It's going to be pretty gnarly. And I think unless they come out and cut it on Wednesday, which I doubt, it sounds like it's going to be pretty nasty. So it's going to be interesting. It is a major championship week. Obviously, we talk a lot about DraftKings, so you've got a lot of contest offerings on DraftKings. I think contest selection and lineup construction is key. We get a lot of new people that listen to us during weeks where we have major championships. So we try to educate the new folks a little bit and not bore the veterans to death. But I think contest selection is key. And if you're starting out or if you don't really play DFS a lot, be careful what you're getting into in terms of contests. The Millie Maker is an interesting contest. I don't usually play a whole lot. I might have 5 lineups in the Millie Maker. I much prefer some of the other GPPs with larger buy-ins and smaller, less people in them. But we're going to talk a lot about GPPs, tournaments, so you're going to have to differentiate. Honestly, I think above anything, ownership is probably the most important thing. If you're playing tournaments with 1,000 entries or more, I think ownership is probably the most important stat. It means more to me than stats. And so come Wednesday night, checking out fansharesports.com. If you are playing in tournaments, whether it's on DraftKings or FanDuel or wherever, fansharesports.com is where we go to check out ownership. They do all the listening of the podcasts, all the watching of the YouTube videos, all the reading of the articles and the tweets and all that stuff. And they tell you who's getting talked up and who is not. We've been working with Fanshare for years now, and they're offering a 20% off promo to our listeners, whether you subscribe weekly, monthly, or annually if you use promo code TourJunkies. It's promo code TourJunkies at fansharesports.com. And if you use the annual membership, they also do the NFL. So if you like playing tournaments on daily fantasy for the NFL, you get to do it year round. It's a win-win for you. So fansharesports.com, promo code Tour Junkies gets you 20% off. I think ownership's the biggest thing, man. I mean, I just think it's going to be a big deal. Yeah, that's it for me. Anything else for you on the course breakdown, or any advice to the newbies? What would your advice be to the new DFSers out there, Pat, that are dipping their toe because they're excited because Tiger is back in the field since winning the Masters, and they're pumped and they want to blow a little bit of their hard-earned money? What would you tell the new folks?
I would tell you that you don't have to. If you want to play Tiger, play him. If you're just coming in and you like watching Tiger, then play the guy. But I agree with you on the ownership. I also would say if you got a little cash, now you may talk about this later, but you got to be a member of FantasyNational.com. But that's just me.
Yes,
that's where I get all my stats from. So,
well, I mentioned the opportunities gain stat. I don't know. Did you mention that or not? I kind of checked out on that.
I did not mention that.
Okay. Well, I'm looking at opportunities gain, which is a proprietary stat to Fantasy National Golf Club. We're friends with the boys at Fantasy National, and I love that stat. It basically measures how many times a guy hits it within 15 feet in regulation or under regulation, and gives himself an honest chance for a birdie or an eagle. And I think that really shows you who's hitting the ball well, who's striking it well. That stat came to Fantasy National, or the idea for that stat came to Fantasy National through a PGA Tour player. It's just a fantastic tool, and that's just that's just a small percentage of the things you can do at Fantasy National. So again, if you're not a member there, fantasynational.com/TJ is how you join fantasynational.com/TJ. All of our stats, everything that we talk about from a stat perspective, comes right off of fantasynational.com/TJ. Now, Pat, are you ready? Do you have any other pieces of advice, or was that just a stall? What are you doing?
I was stalling because I'm ready to get into the picks.
Okay. All right. We have not talked about our picks. We have not gone over our picks. We have not listened or consumed any other content surrounding this thing other than, stuff about the golf course. So we're going to start over on DraftKings. We're going to start in the 9K and above range. And we're going to give you, what are we going to give you? 3 GPP plays, a cash play, and a fade. Pat, let's get into it, buddy. I'll give you mine. I'll start. I am glad Justin Thomas withdrew because I was tempted to take Justin Thomas, just from just pure ownership perspective. Tempted to take JT, but I'm glad he withdrew. You got Tiger Woods right there at the top at 11-3. I think it's a must fade if you're playing tournaments. I know I said this for the Masters. This feels like a broken record. I said it for the Masters that you needed to fade Tiger. You said, nay, you should consider playing Tiger if you want to play him for the Masters. And you correctly, for the first time maybe in 4 years, predicted his ownership. You felt like for the Masters he may be a little under-owned, more under-owned than we thought, at around 13% or so, which he was. And I don't know if that's the case for the PGA or not. I have a feeling that it's going to be higher than that coming off the win at the Masters. But nonetheless, to take Tiger at 11-3 at the top price, or even to bet him at the top of the betting market, you're likely not getting a fair deal to his true odds to win. So I think, first of all, he is my fade. I'll go ahead and get that out of the way. At 11-1, I am interested in some Dustin Johnson. I hear driving the ball well here is very important. So DJ's driver is his best weapon, and if you give me fairways that are reasonable width and a soft golf course where he doesn't have to worry about the ball rolling through the fairway into that nasty stuff that our caddy friend just told us about. I love the length off the tee for DJ. I love the iron play lately, and he's actually fourth in this field in strokes gained putting on POA surfaces over the last 100 rounds. We know he loves POA. He does so well on the West Coast where you find a lot of POA surfaces. So I really like DJ at 11-1, and I think the pricing is soft enough, especially on DraftKings, that you can pair him up. You can start up here. I think the balanced lineup approach, starting at the low 10s, or actually not even low 10s now that JT's out, but starting at the $9,000 range is going to be the more popular play. I think more people are going to do that in large tournaments. And so I think if you want to be a little contrarian, you can start with a couple guys up here at the top. And there are still some names down in the 6K range that we can get into that can pair nicely with a DJ or a Rory if you want to do it. I'm going to plant my flag on DJ. I feel like he'll come in a little lower owned than Rory. I feel like Rory's form's been a touch better, winning the Players. DJ's been a little off here lately by his standards. So I'm going DJ at 11-1. Then I'm dropping down pretty significantly, and I'm taking the last two boys here in this 9K range. I'm sorry, two of the last couple guys. Tommy Fleetwood at 9,200. I love where Fleetwood comes in here. Checks the box and strokes gained off the tee. Not a bad putter on POA. Not great, but not terrible. Irons have been a little lackluster by his standard, but he's still a fantastic ball striker. Hits it pure. Doesn't miss a lot of fairways. And I think in conditions like this, where, maybe on the weekend we see a little rain, a little bit of wind, wet golf course, I like how he could play here at 9,200. Love the value for Fleetwood. And then Xander Schauffele at 9,100. I love Xander. I love Xander. I play Xander frequently, and I'm not going to stop him now. I think he's an absolutely perfect play. He checks all the boxes: strokes gained off the tee, strokes gained approach, opportunities gained, putts well on POA. He's 22nd in this field in strokes gained putting on POA over the last 100 rounds. I think Xander's an absolute stud. He's a big game hunter. He loves majors, and at 9,100, that's a steal. So I love Xander. I would play him in cash, but I think if I'm going to nail down a cash play, I'm going to go with Brooks. I really like Brooks a lot this week, even though the stats aren't perfect, but we know how Brooks shows up for majors. We just know. You all right over there, buddy? You good? We know how Brooks shows up for majors, and I just feel like he's a lock to do well here again. I'm just going to fade him in tournaments because I do think he'll also be a little high owned up there with Tiger. So, but cash, I love him. I'm not a complete fade on Brooks. I'm a complete fade on Tiger. I'll go ahead and say it. I'm a complete fade on Tiger. Brooks is my cash play.
I don't mind the Tiger fade. I mean, I think he is going to be higher end than I think he was at the Masters. So I agree with you there. As far as the GPP plays, I'm totally with you on DJ. I mean, he's my top guy. I mean, I love him.
Is he now?
Like you said, I mean, he checks all the boxes as far as stats. I looked at that putting on Poana, so he definitely checks the box there. I mean, I know I mentioned that history is not a huge deal, but he did finish third here back in 2012, so we have seen him play well on this course. So I like that. And also Fleetwood, I'm a little bit surprised. I thought maybe I'd be a little bit different than you on Fleetwood. But as you mentioned, he's a great ball striker. So a great ball striker, checks the box and scrambling for me. He's actually got sneaky, good driving distance. It's not like he's not a short knocker out there. I mean, he's actually top 20 in the field right now over the last 24 rounds.
Yeah, Fleetwood can move it. He can move it.
So he can get it out there. Also in par four scoring, he checks the box there, and he's a good bunker player. I mean, you look at, we talked about Fantasy National. One of their stats is sand saves gained. He's 7th in the field there. So,
Ooh.
I mean, Fleetwood just really checks everything you want him to do. And look, that's a guy that can win a major. I mean, he's ready. He can do it. We've seen it before that he's contended. So I'm totally with you on Fleetwood. The other guy I'll say that I really like is Jon Rahm, and I feel like I just cannot quit this guy in majors, and I'm probably never going to be able to because, look, he's still young. He definitely, I think this course could be frustrating for him if he's not hitting fairways and he gets himself into trouble and he's not listening to his caddy, which we've seen at the TPC. I think that could be maybe a little bit of a problem. But when you just look at the stats, I mean, he's a good ball striker, top 12 in the field. He's third in strokes gained off the tee. Definitely has the distance. He's top 10 in driving distance, 11th in par 4 scoring. So I think that, Rahm is certainly a player, and he's probably going to be a little bit lower owned. I mean, I like where I feel like he's going to be lower owned. I mean, I could be wrong there, but I like some Rahm at 9,500, right there in between Molinari and Ricky Fowler. By the way, Molinari is interesting to me because he is not checking any boxes, just none. And he's going to come into this tournament literally under the radar again. And he has just been fantastic in majors. He obviously is good as far as hitting fairways and things like that. But I just want to see where his ownership is later in the week. And even though he's not checking a whole lot of boxes, he doesn't have that distance off the tee. I don't know. He could be a guy that interests me a little bit, but I'm not gonna. I'm just saying. As far as my cash play, I think because of a lot of the reasons you mentioned, with some guys that we can get in the 7K range and maybe even in the 6K range, I think DJ is a really good cash play. I'm fine with playing him at 11-1. I still think you can put a very solid lineup playing him in cash. So I do like some DJ there. I can. You're probably just rolling.
Yeah, you
your
can't
eyes.
play DJ in cash, man. I don't know. You just don't get it, do you? I continue to bludgeon you with my cash picks.
Why can you not play?
Because
DJ
you don't need to
cash?
spend that money in cash. I don't know how many
when
times
you
I have
can
to
get
go over
somebody
this.
like you can drop down and get somebody like Sergio at freaking 7,900, and then you got all these guys.
Four other
all
guys
these
you have to
solid
pick.
Players.
You have four other guys you have to pick. I'm just telling you, you don't need to go that high in cash. In a 50, when we say cash, by the way, we're talking about 50-50s and double ups in DFS. So you just get six.
I disagree with your contention that continues to be that you always have to try to find a guy and get everything right around the average price line, whatever. That's not the way you have to play cash every time. I think you can play a guy like Dustin Johnson who can win the tournament.
That's the way you play it if you want to win money all the time.
All these guys that are 6 and 7K, you could literally make an entire lineup of 7K guys and maybe even win a GPP. You probably could. I'm telling you, you could do it. So that's why I don't think I have any problems whatsoever playing a guy like DJ in cash. And Koepka's only saving you what? I mean, $600 or $700 is who your cash play was. So it's not like a huge difference. So whatever. Anyway, my fade. I'm going out there. I'm going out there this week, David, because you're going with an easy guy like Tiger. You're going to fade the highest price guy. I'm going to go with Rory McIlroy as my fade. Look, he is checking boxes. This is an ownership deal for me. Going back to one of your contentions that ownership is key. He's going to be high owned.
Okay.
He's not coming to play in majors. We're not seeing him. He hasn't. When was the last time he contended in a major? When? Somebody tell me.
That's not.
Unless you count the TPC as a major, which I don't.
Respect. I mean, it's the toughest field in golf. I mean, that's kind of a major, I think. It's not a major, but you know what I mean. I mean, I'm looking at last year. The Open Championship in July, he finished runner-up. At the PGA last year, he finished 50th. At the U.S. Open, he missed the cut. He finished 5th at the Masters. So, I mean, the last time he contended in a major was last year, but I get it. I mean, it has been a little boom or bust, and when you're paying up for him at that price, you want a little more than boom or bust. You want boom with the floor being a top 20, and that has not been his floor lately in majors. So I don't hate it. I don't hate the play. I don't hate the play. It's a bold move for you, especially. I know how much you love Rory. You're a big Rory guy.
Love Rory. I love Rory. As a matter of fact, he may just come up a little bit later in the podcast. We'll tease there.
Oh, I know what you're doing. You hedging mother. I get you. All right, 8K range. Why don't you start with the 8K range? We're going to give you 2 GPPs, a cash play, and a fade in the 8K range.
Yeah, so this range is interesting to me. So I literally now, you can potentially fade every single guy in this 8K range. I'm just telling you. You
can do a lot of things. You just said you could win a GPP with all guys in the 7K.
Well, and the reason I say that
you can grow a second dick tomorrow. That's probably not going to happen.
Is because of ownership. I think there are a lot of guys that are going to be high owned in this range. You got like Kuchar playing well. You got a Spieth who people can't quit. Who probably is going to be
like
lower.
you. People like you can't quit.
Hideki's in here at 8,500. Cantlay people love. I don't know, but I'm not going to do that. I'm just saying this is an interesting range for me, so I'm going to try and not be too chalky. But I'm going to start with a chalky play, and that's going to be Paul Casey at 8,300. Look, the guy's just, he's a stat machine here. He's 7th in the field in ball striking, 9th off the tee, 8th in driving accuracy, 16th strokes gained approach, checks the box in par 4 scoring. This guy, everything he does is just primed to win a major, and he's due. God, the guy is so due to win a major. been in pretty good recent form. So we obviously saw him win. What was it? Back-to-back at the tournament in Tampa. And then it was T4 just a few weeks ago at Wells Fargo on a very difficult course. A course that is relatively tight off the in the fairways, and then with some decent rough off the green. So, off the fairways. So I think Paul Casey is just almost an automatic play for me, and I love him in cash too. So he'll be my cash play at 8,300. Next guy I like is now a little bit different. Is a guy that I do think might be overlooked this week. And that's Adam Scott at 8,100. I think he is a very good play this week. He's not necessarily going to just jump off the page in all the stats, but he's extremely solid across the board. He's got plenty of distance. Obviously, a great ball striker. So I like some Adam Scott at 8,100, and I think his ownership is going to be lower than it should be. So that's one of the reasons that I like some Adam Scott. As far as a fade's concerned, by the way, Adam Scott just 3 years ago at the Barclays, he did finish T4 here at Bethpage. So he does have some experience out here and showing that he can play well on this course. A guy that I'm going to fade, though, is Tony Finau at 8,800. I don't see it this week, and especially if you look at driving accuracy, he's 84th in the field in driving accuracy. We know he's got plenty of distance. But, I don't think that's going to be, for him, I worry about that. If he's missing these fairways just a little bit, I think then he's going to have some problems hitting the greens, and he's terrible at scrambling. He's 133rd in the field in scrambling. He's also 140th in sand save. So he's not doing anything.
Not a good sand player. Yeah.
So I worry about some Tony Finau, and he's a guy that everybody loves to play. I'll be interested to see what Fanshare has his ownership at. But at 8,800, just not a big fan of playing old Finau this week. So he will be my favorite.
Interesting. All right, so not a lot of overlap in this range, which is interesting. All right, so in GPPs, here's what I'm doing. I can't not play Patrick Cantlay. I love this guy's ball striking ability. No matter the conditions, no matter what happens with the weather,
Stop.
The draw.
Stop.
What?
My garage band just quit.
Oh, that's not good. It quit like it shut down?
One second. Why can you not? Talk to me. As far as my cash play, I think because of a lot of the reasons you mentioned, with some guys that we can get in the 7K range and maybe even in the 6K range, I think DJ is a really good cash play. I'm fine with playing him at 11-1. I still think you can put a very solid lineup playing him in cash. So I do like some DJ there. I can. You're probably just rolling your eyes and everything. Why can you not? All right. So it just cut off after you got on the DJ.
After I what?
After you said you started getting on to me about playing DJ and cash.
Oh, fuck me running. All right, boys. Everybody watching live, we got to go. See ya.